Um, so my name's Ruth. I'm from the community engagement team at London Fire Brigade. So I'm going to speak to you briefly about fire and wildfire preparedness for this summer and some of our kind of summer messaging as we head into the warmer weather. Um, so just to start, London has, as many of you know, just experienced one of the driest springs on record and the driest spring in more than 100 years, which indicates that we're probably on track for a hot summer ahead. And a hot summer means that we're at an increased risk of wildfires affecting us across the capital. And in London, we're in quite a specific environment because just under half of London is considered green space. But because we're a capital city, much of this lies right next to homes and businesses and other buildings, making it quite a challenging environment for us as a fire and rescue service. I'm just going to briefly reflect on summer 2022 and what we experienced there. I've got a couple of photos up of some of the fires and wildfires that we experienced in that 40-degree weather in July 2022. So we faced one of our busiest days in the modern firefighting era in that summer. Temperatures exceeded 40 degrees Celsius in London for the first time since records began. And we were one of many fire and rescue services across the country to declare a major incident on the 19th of July. We received almost 2,500 calls and crews responded to 1,146 incidents, which is much more than a normal day. In Wellington, which was one of those photos that we just saw, around 17 homes were destroyed by a wildfire. And across London, a total of 41 homes were destroyed in a single day. It was a really difficult day for us, especially for our firefighters, and a really difficult day for people across London who were impacted by those fires. Since then, we've made a lot of improvements. So I wanted to take a second just to reflect on those and so make people aware of what we're doing to try and be more prepared for the summer. So we're continuing a pilot of deploying purpose-built four-wheel drive wildfire response vehicles, so they can go off-road. They've got special equipment that allows firefighters to pump and drive, so it makes them able to tackle a wildfire much more efficiently and much more safely. And they also carry some new equipment, beaters and blowers, which enable them to push the flames back into the already burnt areas and keep them away from non-burnt areas. We also have a specially engineered holy hose, which is exactly what it says on the tin. It's a hose with holes in, introduced a couple years ago, which allows us to create kind of a curtain of water. So it makes almost a wall of water, preventing the fire from spreading. We've also converted 2 units to carry 8,000 litres of water each, which helps us make sure that we have water available at incidents, especially where traditional water supplies might be absent or ineffective. Like those wildfires at the rural-urban interface, where we're working in more rural areas. And all of our firefighters have also received enhanced training for wildfires, as well as having a number of wildfire support officers across the brigade. So we are in a better position to tackle wildfires in a hot summer. But we also need London to be in a better position to prevent wildfires in the first place. Prevention is definitely the key to keeping London safe. Hopefully the fires don't start in the first place. So we're asking people responsible for maintaining green spaces to create fire breaks, especially where residential properties are nearby. So that includes kind of cutting and removing grass. It includes ploughing earth, removing any flammable vegetation, so that there is a break in something that can burn so that the fire stops and doesn't jump across that break. Homeowners can also help by maintaining their gardens and preventing them from becoming overgrown, especially if you have flammable material in your garden, like a shed, or if you back onto green spaces. It's really useful if you can keep that down, and also reduce flammable material in your garden, like piles of wood or rubbish or things like that. We're also asking people to avoid using disposable barbecues, especially in parks and public spaces, but also in private gardens, indoors and on balconies, which is something that we see quite a lot of. They pose a significant fire risk, and the heat in the barbecue can be retained for a number of hours. And so if they're not disposed of properly, or if they're not monitored properly, they can cause a fire quite easily. Standard barbecues should also not be left unattended, and should be used away from any flammable materials. So if you're doing a barbecue at home, in a proper barbecue rather than a disposable one, you still need to be really careful. Keep it away from sheds, fences, trees, vegetation, and also make sure that there's someone there at all times watching it. We're also asking that discarded smoking materials are looked after properly. They pose a massive fire risk, especially when everything is dry and hot. So ensure cigarettes are completely out, avoid throwing them off balconies or out of car windows, and discard them properly in an ashtray. And leftover rubbish, including glass bottles, poses a fire risk in open spaces. So ensuring rubbish is placed securely in a bin or taking it home when people are kind of in parks or in public spaces, having picnics or enjoying the weather. That leftover rubbish can actually help cause or spread a fire. I'm trying to be super quick because I know we don't have much time. So all of this messaging will be going out on our social media. All of our safety advice is available on our website. We're providing a lot of this messaging out to local authorities as well, to get them to share onwards and also to enact, where we're asking them to do certain things like introduce fire breaks in grassy areas. And our local teams, so our local borough commanders and our station commanders and the crews on station, will also have a lot of this information, and we'll be sharing it at our different events and open days and things across the summer. But if you're looking for any of that safety information, you can find it on our website. I'll post the link in the chat as well. And you can also contact us on community engagement at londonfire.gov.uk if you have any questions or need any resources that you want to share with your communities or anything like that. And I can make sure that you have those. But that's everything from us. I'll stop there.